Hey everyone, what is going on? I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and this week, I'm not sure if you're already feeling it, but there is a lot of blessings, a lot of expansion, and a lot of change at our fingertips. Let's recap this all really quick, shall we? Mercury just stationed direct. We have Jupiter ingressing into Taurus, the Taurus new moon, Mars ingressing into Leo, and the commencement of Gemini season. So with all of this happening in a span of 7 days, I want to give some offerings if you wish to invest and really ground in with these transits. So I have a Jupiter in Taurus webinar. With this webinar, there's a video component with an additional workbook. The video component is about an hour and 15 minutes long. I really go into the themes of this Jupiter in Taurus transit. And also I mentioned this in the webinar, but at any time, if you purchase that webinar, if you have any questions, especially if they're more specific to you, your chart, a Jupiter question that is on your mind, feel free to ask it, because it is linked to an unlisted YouTube page. And that way I can answer it for you. There's going to be a nice energy. I'm really excited for this Jupiter and Taurus transit because especially for fixed signs or for those fixed houses in your natal chart, it's going to really take off, especially when the nodes shift in July. We'll get to that in due time. But the workbook as well adds additional journal prompts, homework, insight, affirmations. It's a beautiful package, so to speak. So there's an early bird on that for the next week. It'll be $22.22 Canadian. After that, it goes up to $30. So you can find the link to that webinar in the description of this video. Secondly, the Taurus New Moon Workshop will be available later this week on this YouTube page. My intention is to have that up by the end of day of Wednesday this week, as the new moon in Taurus is going to be on Friday. And then lastly, I'm going to be holding another live Zoom gathering to really recap everything, but especially to hold space with that Taurus new moon energy. So that's going to be happening on Saturday, May 20th at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. They're really beautiful containers, those live Zoom gatherings. And as all of this change is occurring for everyone, I know personally things are shifting on my end beautifully. Other opportunities are presenting themselves. So I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be doing those live containers surrounding the lunation. So if you are curious and wish to be a part of them, I would highly recommend it. I'll put the link for that below as well. Okay, so let us dive into this week. It's interesting, as Mercury stationed, I was going over the transits and I thought, I really just want to put this in Pacific Standard Time moving forward. Previously, it was in Eastern, given I was located in Toronto, but now that I'm grounding into Vancouver, I'm going to be starting each day at 9 a.m. Pacific. So no matter what time zone you're in, can adjust the time accordingly. All right. So one thing I want to mention at the top of the week is that the sun is making an applied sextile to Neptune pretty much throughout the entire week. This means that your vitality, your spirit, or even just your energy can be affected with the energy that you're surrounding yourself with. This could be a really beautiful opportunity by maybe putting a little bit of extra love into your spiritual practice would go a long way. And if we're talking about earth energy, the sun in Taurus affecting Neptune in Pisces, a water sign, this is getting really intentional with earth energy. So let's say physically writing something down into your journal. Vocal affirmations are beautiful, but it would be a curious exercise if you were just to write down a few sentences of what you are calling in of your affirmations. And then as you write them down, you can speak them aloud to see how that shifts your energy, what you are experiencing in this reality. So if you want to partake in that and see how things shift, I think it'd be a very beautiful opportunity, especially given that on Monday, the moon is in Aries, co-present Jupiter, and making a square to Venus. So the moon is an aspect to both luminaries. And this is interesting because the moon doesn't fully catch up to Jupiter, as Jupiter will move into Taurus tomorrow. on the 16th of May. What this means is that you might find a culmination of energy in this Aries ruled part of your chart. There might be something that you are shifting and letting go of to make space for an imminent blessing. And some of you might already be in this frequency already of really evaluating what's been going on, especially over the past couple of weeks with the eclipses. And if we're talking about Moon in Aries making a square to Venus and Cancer, this can really say, what do I need to feel nurtured? Where am I not feeling safe and grounded? Are my emotions in upheaval? So how is it that I can relate and connect further into myself, my emotions, my career, my finances, whatever that may be? And there's likely some things to come up on Monday that might make you feel a certain type of way, so we can tune into those emotions. And given that the sun is making this sextile to Neptune all week long, pay attention to your dreams, because there is likely a lot that is going to be coming to the surface that you can further receive additional downloads. And the last thing I'll say, in which for those of you who tune into my content, you know, I'm a very big advocate for this, of being aware of what you take on from social media. Because if we're in this space, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the moon is going to be in her balsamic moon phase, in the dark moon phase. So it is like we're in the final part of something that is about to be birthed. It's a time for us to all slow down before all this change pops off everywhere. So taking time for yourself, releasing and shedding anything that is not serving you is the vibe. If you're going to go on social media, like I said last week, I would just be very intentional. So say for the next 15 minutes, as I scroll on social media, I want to see an aligned message. I want to see something that's funny. I want to see something that inspires action. That way we are playing with this Neptune energy and the sun in terms of what we are seeing, what is lighting us up, that it's going to be aligned for our greatest good. And even with the moon losing light, making that square to Venus, it's going to be making a square to Mars tomorrow as well. I just want you to see, what am I holding on to that isn't serving me? And again, like I said previously, some of you might have already been doing this release work and letting go of unaligned energies. And it doesn't even have to be something huge. It just might be this one mindset or this habit or this action is no longer serving me. I'm just going to be mindful of it and see what else comes to the surface for me to address these themes, make an informed decision, or add in something new that is more aligned or that is simply going to make me feel better. With the moon in Aries, knowing that these emotions are likely to come up and then be done. As someone who has an Aries moon natally, usually individuals with an Aries moon or prominent Aries energy, they don't dwell on the emotions, but they have to exert them. They have to get them out so that they can be released. So this can also be a way to, like, maybe you feel like you're overburdening someone by venting or sharing your frustrations. If you ask for permission, say, do you mind if I rant for the next 5 minutes? I just need to get something off my chest. I feel the majority of the time people will say yes, and then you can just get it out and then move on to what needs to be done. Take that if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. Now, Tuesday, we see that the moon gets very close to Jupiter, but they don't get conjunct. And I just want to fast forward this 2 hours so we get to 11 a.m. Pacific, because then we see Jupiter now ingresses into Taurus. So it's going to be here for the next 12 months. This is really exciting. I believe it's until May 24th of 2023. So a full 12 months of Jupiter being in Taurus. I go into this, like I said, more in depth in the Jupiter in Taurus webinar, but I do want to bring up this aspect because it's pretty much happening all week, is Jupiter making a square to Pluto retrograde. So this is our truth around expansion. This is your truth around opportunity, blessings, luck, wealth, love. And we just said how Mercury stationed direct. We also have a pretty close conjunction here between Jupiter and Mercury. They're within a 5-degree orb. And then you have the North Node sandwich between Mercury and Jupiter. This could also you just be claiming your power and autonomy from a cerebral mental place, given that this is Pluto in Aquarius, an air sign, and claiming your greatness, knowing you're worthy because you are worthy. You don't have to wait for anything. Anything and everything that you want that you're calling in can happen right now, but there may feel like there is a belief that needs to either be planted or supported, or an old programming that no longer makes sense. We talked about this in my eclipse workshops that are still free to access. You can tune into them if you want to go back and recap. But these stories that we tell ourselves, are they even true right now? A lot of people say, I do the work, I do the work, I do the work, which is beautiful. If you're doing the work and you're up leveling every day, week, month, there's no time limit on this. And again, what is time? Then your mindsets also have to catch up to the work that you're doing so you can continually expand at the rate in which you desire. So I'm saying this because this Jupiter-Pluto square gets to expand you. You get to redefine what expansion, knowledge, blessings, luck mean to you, and any belief system that no longer makes sense, whether it came from family, society, or a person of authority or power, that no longer has to be your story. And I feel like a lot of us are going to be experiencing this in various ways throughout this week. And then it's likely to click in and around the Taurus new moon. And I will say, really look to your Taurus ruled house in your natal chart, because now that Jupiter is going to be there for the next 12 months. And then when the moon enters Taurus, there's going to be a lot of beautiful, beautiful expansion, abundance, fertility, opportunity. That's all going to be taking place there. Now, on Tuesday as well, we mentioned this a little bit with the moon making this square to Mars. However, there's a very strong mutual reception here as Mars rules over Aries, the moon rules over Cancer. So this can just be where you just need to do something, or something just needs to finish for you to fully relax. This can also be in a sense of if you're needing to have a heart-to-heart, a one-on-one, a conversation, either with yourself, with a loved one, again, with Mercury still in its post-retrograde shadows, there may be some closure that you desire. You might be securing a deal. You might be waiting for correspondence, and that might make you feel a lot of intense emotion. Ways to ground in would be getting physical, so that this moon in Aries has something to do, so it's not allowing the Martian energy in Cancer to overwhelm itself. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, how can you ground back into your body? Or quite simply, maybe take a nap, get some extra sleep, so that you're not allowing these emotions to boil over. And now with Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the moon is in her dark moon phase. So for me, the energy feels like the chrysalis, the cocoon, is just about to break free this gorgeous butterfly. But there's just a little bit, it's not done cooking yet. There's still you don't have all the information yet, is what it feels like. So if there's something that further needs to be let go, released, whether it be from a mental, spiritual, or physical place, be mindful of that and what needs to be wrapped up or completed before you're ready to proceed. All right. Now we're just going to come back to 9 a.m. Pacific and move to Wednesday. So here's the thing. Now we have 5 planets plus the North Node in Taurus. This is going to be Wednesday, Thursday, and for half of Friday. Also, all of these planets are in aspect to every other planet, because all of these planets make aspects with a sextile to Neptune and Saturn, a sextile to Venus and Mars, and then we have the moon and Jupiter making a square to Pluto. So there's many ways that this could manifest. I won't be going through all of them. I'm going to go through the ones that I find most noteworthy. So first of all, this moon Jupiter conjunction in Taurus. This feels like a new opportunity, a new idea, something that you're getting really excited about. This could also be now the correspondence comes in, especially with the moon Mercury conjunction, that it's like, all right, the papers are in, sign the dotted line, and this energy will occur next week. It's like you start the new job on Monday after the new moon, as an example. Or it could be this brilliant idea that you've been praying for, wishing for, manifesting for. It could be the sign that you really wanted. Remember, with the moon in her dark moon phase, taking time to be still, taking time to slow down, taking time to purge and connect in with your body to see what it needs is always going to serve you well. We're also wrapping up Taurus season as well and finishing up these eclipse season energies. So don't overcomplicate things. Don't try and do a whole lot. With the moon now making that square to Pluto retrograde, I feel like the truth will be revealed, whether it's someone's actions or lack of action. And it could also be, especially with the moon in aspect to Mercury, it's like you were waiting for his correspondence, or you're waiting for the deal. Maybe the deal didn't come through and you're like, oh, this is actually a really big silver lining. This is a big blessing in disguise, because with that opportunity or with this energy not on the table anymore, there's all this space for new potential, new energy to emerge. So like I said, it can manifest in a couple different ways. We also have the moon making a sextile to Venus while also conjunct Jupiter. So for me, again, it's really getting close, silent, and knowing that opportunity, fertility, and abundance is trying to come in every corner. But if we didn't take the time, let's say on Monday or Tuesday, or throughout the past couple of weeks to really analyze what's no longer serving us, this can be time. Like if you're, like we talked about on Monday, Tuesday with the moon in Aries, if you're feeling frustrated or if you feel like nothing's moving, tap into the frustration, go deeper into your emotions, because there is opportunity coming exponentially. This is the first of many moon Jupiter conjunctions that we're going to have in Taurus over the next 12 months. And this especially is when you can start to see how this may manifest for you specifically in your own natal chart. And again, in that Taurus ruled part of your chart. Now, Thursday, the moon is making this applied conjunction to Uranus while also making an applied sextile. And it's still sextiling Venus here. So the moon is also dancing with Venus and Mars, which is fun. This can be an energy too, where it's like, what do I need to satiate myself? What am I wanting in terms of long-term structures? What do I wish to invest in that's going to help appeal both the masculine and feminine energies of my life? And if you want to go further and get more specific with this, you can look to the Taurus and the Cancer ruled houses in your natal chart to see how this beautiful blend of lunar, Venusian, and Martian energies are all coming together. And also with the moon Uranus, that can go in many different ways. Part of me just thinks like there's so much excitement and you're just going to pass out. Like you're just like, I just need a nap. Like there's just so much going on. I just want to slow down. For some, it can be you were releasing, being mindful, intentional, and now you're getting super excited. This can also be for the people that got the correspondence, got the idea, got the breakthrough, and now they're revved up and hungry to move forward, especially with this moon Mars sextile. And what keeps coming back to me as well as I'm looking at this are seeds that you wish to plant, that you want to nurture, that you want to grow. This isn't just like a flash in the pan, something frivolous you want to do for a weekend. These are intentional investments. These are things that you wish to devote your energy to. Be open to that. And that is going to manifest in many different ways for everyone. It could be diving further into your nutrition, your health, your spiritual well-being, your mental health. So many ways that this can go. So with this moon Uranus, but also the moon is making that applied sextile to Neptune as well. So this is like new dreams, new activations, new paths being revealed on areas that you wish to grow and expand. Friday, Taurus new moon. Boom. How beautiful is it that we have a Taurus new moon on Friday, on Venus's day, and then Venus, Mercury is getting closer and closer to that sextile with Venus as well. So this can be new pleasure, new love, new wealth, new opportunity. And then both the sun and moon are still in strong aspect to Neptune as well. So really, if we're talking about a new moon in Taurus, quite literally initiating something that is in alignment with your dreams. That is what I would advise for this Taurus new moon. And of course, I'll go into it a bit more when I record the Taurus new moon workshop, but be mindful of that. What do I wish to initiate that is in alignment with my dreams? Something that I'm going to love and cherish and build and grow. And it's going to give me so much joy. That's what I want you to focus on throughout this week. And especially as we move through Friday, Saturday, and integrate this new moon. And it's beautiful and comical to me that right after the moon in Gemini on Saturday makes that square to Saturn. Because there could be so many things. Like I do believe with the moon having just went through Taurus and met Jupiter, the North Node, Mercury, Uranus, the Sun, it could be a cornucopia of blessings. Like these could be good problems to have in which many prayers are answered all at the same time. And now with the moon in Gemini, you wish to share the news with everyone, or you want to connect with a lot of different people, or you're just going to be tuned in to a lot of frequencies. So with Saturn here, it's kind of like there's only so many hours in a day. Also, commit to the things that matter. And this can also be what you have been learning for the past little while, but especially this week is all the distractions, those aren't aligned anymore. If I really want to go after my dreams and grow and build and nurture what's important to me, this is where I have to focus my mind. And these are the things that matter. The rest of these things, it's not that they don't matter, it's that these things take priority. And these are the things I am committed to. And another beautiful way to use this moon Saturn square, especially right after the new moon in Taurus, is how are you going to restructure your schedule, your mind, and your actions to welcome in all these new energies that are coming in. And then on Sunday, I would just be very aware, because this is on Saturday. This is then Mars entered Leo. So let's just go back for 1 second. This again falls into what you're committed to and what brings you joy and passion. Now that it's a wide separating sextile, but still an aspect. So this moon Mars is like, let's go, let's get excited, let's be seen, and allow our words and ideas to grow. But with Mars now in Leo, we have Mars making a square to Jupiter as well, which also for me, I just believe for many of you, or many of us, I should say, there's going to be many things that we want to do. And if we allow our mind to just be scattered and engage with energies that are no longer in alignment, it's going to be harder to get the things done that are in alignment with our dreams. And this Mars transit is going to stay here in Leo. What is it? Until July 10th. So for the next 6-7 weeks or so. So this is also an energy too, where you get to look at the Leo ruled house in your chart and understand that this Mars energy can accelerate things, give you drive, give you passion, give you motivation for this. Especially given that at the start of this transit, it's squared to Jupiter and also opposing Pluto. So then we have this T-square energy with Jupiter right in the middle. What this also is giving me, it's like you just planted a garden and the weather is accelerated. It's like rain, sun, rain, sun, rain, sun. And 1 week after you planted the garden, it's almost like there's things that are ready to be harvested. And you're like, wait, I had this vacation lined up. I'm going to go camping and then going to the beach. Like I'm not ready, hypothetically speaking, to harvest all this. I need help. I need support. to collect all the blessings. So this can also be an energy too with Moon Saturn of using your voice to connect and to put boundaries in place to support the new energy that's coming in. And I think that's really going to resonate with a lot of us in terms of calling in this new energy, stepping into a new frequency. You can't just keep doing things the same way they've been done in the past, especially with Mars opposing Pluto. It's like this power dynamic. There needs to be a shift for Jupiter to continually grow. It's like you want to plant all these things in the garden, but you even need more space, as another garden analogy. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you just had triplets. And it's like, great, the garden that we normally plant is not going to feed all of us throughout the winter. So we're going to expand the garden. And maybe that means buying land next to us so we can plant a bigger garden. And maybe that will bring a little bit of fear because you're like, can we afford to buy the land next to us to expand the garden? The answer is yes, of course you can. There is money everywhere. We can expand accordingly. But this can just be an energy too where, and I know I'm focusing on this a lot, but it's all just coming at once. If you're wanting to expand yourself, calling in more aligned opportunity for your dreams, especially with Mars in Leo, right? This drive to either lead, to be seen, to expand. We always are going to go back to our mind. Mars opposing Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And this almost for me can come back to you sabotaging yourself. No one's out to get you. No one's holding you back. There's room for everyone. There is money everywhere. What stories are you telling yourself that are inhibiting your actions? And thank goodness we have Jupiter in Taurus at that exact moment, or else this Mars-Pluto opposition might be more volatile or might feel like tires spinning in the mud, especially internally, which also gives greater rise to the notion that when the moon is in Aries at the start of this week, to not let that slide, to not just forego the conversation or the action that needs to take place for your emotions to regulate. Because once we have this Mars-Pluto opposition, if you have a healthy outlet for your energy, for your emotions, that is going to prove very beneficial. This can also be the last thing I'll say before I move on. With this Mars-Pluto opposition, T-squared to Jupiter and Taurus, this can be you overcoming the obstacle, the delay, the story from the past, where it's like, this is no longer having a hold on me. I'm breaking free of the victim story. I'm breaking free of these limiting beliefs. I'm breaking free from the fear to grow and expand in the way that I've always known possible. And that could also mean seeing evidence of that new belief bearing fruit, of growing. So not only did you buy the land next to the garden, you planted things you've never planted before that your family loves, and you go out and you see things starting to grow. That's how you can tackle or help to understand this Mars, Pluto, Jupiter T-square. And then you know what needs to change, Moon and Saturn in mutable signs, to have the discipline, boundaries, and time to manage everything. And then once we get to Sunday, the sun enters Gemini, co-present the moon, and then we have the moon making a square to Neptune and the sun making a sextile to Mars. So it's almost like I'm seeing the Tasmanian devil. It's like, wow, there's so much going on Sunday, energetically speaking. Focus on what's important. Focus your mind on what makes you happy and trust in the inspired action. Let's keep it short and simple for Sunday, and we will continue next week. So the astrology question of the week is a really good one. This comes from Araceli. Hey, Araceli. Is it appropriate to cast one's child or partner's natal chart? I've debated looking at my little one's chart. I'm curious because of my knowing the specificity of their birth time, but something pulls me back from looking. It almost feels too personal a detail, if that makes sense. So this is a beautiful and mindful question that I love from humans when we are taking into consideration things like astrology or tarot, the ethics of when we are asking questions or using knowledge to expand our understanding of a loved one. This is my opinion, both professionally and personally. So you can take it if it resonates, leave it if it does not. If you are looking at a partner, a lover, or a child's chart with the intention to gain greater understanding, so you can show up better to love the person and to strengthen the relationship, I don't think that's a bad thing, personally. Now, with regards to it being your partner, you can also ask and say, I'm really interested in astrology. I have my chart. Do you know your birth time? Would you be open to me looking at your birth chart so I can have a greater understanding? That way you're asking permission, gaining consent to helping build and strengthen the relationship. In my experience, when I'm on dates or when I meet someone, they're very open. They also know that I'm a professional astrologer, so it's like they're getting this kind of breakdown for free, so to speak. But I get really excited all the time about astrology, which I'm sure you all can tell, especially if you use this channel. But in my experience, people are very open and they're very curious, and they love to have someone who is curious about astrology bestow knowledge and understanding to them. Now, when it comes to children as well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I have a lot of clients that'll come for a synastry reading because they've had a past reading with an astrologer say that they weren't compatible, but they've been together for 6, 7, 10, 15 years, and they want to come and get a second opinion. And a lot of times too, at least from my experience, when it comes to synastry for love, when they were told that they weren't compatible, the astrologer was just looking at their sun sign. I'll look at their chart. I'm like, there's strong synastry with Venus or Mars or Mercury moon, Venus, Mars. And so if you're going to do synastry and you want to cast your chart for your loved ones, I don't want you to just give knowledge if you're unsure, because then you're also planting seeds to that individual that they are going to take on and believe as fact. So if you just want for your own personal well-being to understand your partner, I think that there's nothing wrong with that, but be very mindful of what you are imprinting and sharing with said loved one. Now, if we're going to move on to children, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with this as long as the intent is to foster understanding and to strengthen the relationship, especially too, because I've done a lot of consults for parents with their children's chart, and they want to do it because they want to see how they can nurture their inherent gifts. Because especially for me, like my generation, a lot of us growing up, our parents wanted us to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, like have a stable upbringing. But a lot of us had Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn. So it's like we want to almost go against the status quo and be entrepreneurs or work for ourselves or pursue the arts. So our parents forcing us into this box of doing something that their generation believed to be secure and successful didn't resonate with our generation purely just from the astrology alone. So I think that when you understand your child's gifts or certain challenges that they may face, that would only increase your capabilities as a parent to understand and to nurture them. And at the end of the day, if you intuitively don't feel like that is something that you want to cross, then trust your intuition. And one last thing I want to say about this is I have a lot of clients and even friends that'll say, oh, I just met someone, I pulled up their chart, and they're the perfect match. And sometimes this gives me pause because then again, they've only seen or like went on a date or two with this person. They're already projecting so much because of the astrology. And trust me, I love the astrology. But I've even had personal experiences where I pulled up the chart and on paper with the astrology, it looks like it'll be a grand slam. I recently went on a date with someone with a lot of similarities, and I'm like, this should be so easy to get along. But they're almost exactly like me, to the point where I was like, I don't want to date myself. Like, this is almost scary. It was good for like an experimental part on my end to see how someone with very similar chart to mine, how that manifests, but it wasn't the right synastry. And it was very interesting for me to experience that, and even just to bestow that onto you watching that. Sometimes, even if we're going into other timing techniques, so let's say you're wanting to build and grow a relationship with someone you just met, but perhaps their progressed moon might be in the balsamic moon phase, or they might be in an 8th house annual perfection ruled by Mars. They're releasing and shedding, and you're wanting to build and grow. Those are two different phases that these people are on. So yes, on paper with the astrology, just looking at synastry, it would be noteworthy to say and to believe that these two individuals are compatible. However, you can also just feed off the energy of that individual and allow things to grow organically. Now, to answer Araceli's question, if you're already with your partner for, let's say, 5, 6, 10 years, and you're curious on how you can support one another, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I've just, from this example that I'm just giving now of casting a potential love interest chart and projecting a lot just based on that, there's more that you can go into with regards to synastry. And sometimes what a perfect match is, it doesn't always manifest in reality. So allow the romance, or allow the connection to grow organically, and trust in your intuition as well. Even for me, like when I meet someone for the first time, I can pretty much tell it's like, oh, are we compatible or not? And then the astrology is a fun caveat afterwards. But I've learned the lesson of just allowing myself to enjoy the date or getting to know someone. And then once the connection is formed with the consent of the other person, if it's a friend or a lover, it's like, cool. How are ways that we can support one another? How are ways that we can grow this relationship easily, or things that we can watch out for if there are challenging aspects in the chart to allow this relationship to expand accordingly? So Araceli, or in general, let me know if that resonates, if you want me to expand further on that. For me, it always comes down to intention with pretty much everything. If you're unsure of should I or shouldn't I, there's no right or wrong reason ever. It's just how you are feeling and what the energy, motivation, intention is behind that action. All right. So lots to look forward to this week. You can click the links below for all the offerings that I have available. And please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or any stories to share with the end of Mercury retrograde, this Jupiter ingress, the Taurus new moon. Like I said, there's a lot of blessings. Ground in, be mindful, understand what needs to be released so that we can welcome in the new and truly decide what is worth your time and what isn't, so that the expansion can be met with ease and flow. Have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.